Imagine you're in a medical billing interview and the interviewer asks you just one question. What's the difference between an NPI and a tax ID? You know you've heard these terms hundreds of times, but suddenly your mind goes blank. But you manage yourself and confidently answer. Both identify the provider. The interviewer smiles and moves on to the next candidate. Why? Because that's only half of the answer. So stay until the end of this video because in this video I'm going to explain everything about NPI and provider tax ID to clear all your doubts and confusion. By the end of this video, you'll understand what an NPI is, what a provider tax ID is, the difference between NPI and tax ID. Why does the insurance representative ask you NPI and tax ID for verification? How AR callers use them during claim follow-up. An interview-ready answer that can help you get hired. And real-time examples from the medical billing industry. Before we understand the difference between an NPI and a provider tax ID, let's first understand one simple concept. Imagine a doctor owns a clinic and treats a patient. Now think about these two questions. First, who provided the medical service? Second, which person or business should receive the payment from the insurance company? Although they seem similar, but they have two different answers. That's why every healthcare provider has two important identities. The first identity tells the insurance company who provided the healthcare service. The second identity tells the insurance company which person or business is billing for that service and receiving the payment. These two identities are called the NPI and the provider tax ID. Let's start with the NPI. NPI stands for National Provider Identifier. It is a unique 10-digit identification number assigned to healthcare providers in the United States. The NPI is issued through the National Plan and Provider Enumeration System (NPPES), which is administered by CMS, Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. Anyone who submits healthcare claims generally meets an NPI. It may be A. Physicians, nurse practitioners, hospitals, clinics, laboratories, imaging centers, physical therapists, home health agencies, ambulance services, durable medical equipment suppliers. The job of an NPI is very simple. It identifies the healthcare provider during healthcare transactions such as claim submission, eligibility verification, prior authorization, and claim status inquiries. Think of it like this. Imagine there is a doctor named Dr. Smith who treats a patient. Now, here's the question. There may be hundreds or even thousands of doctors in the United States with the same name. So, how does Medicare or an insurance company know which Dr. Smith actually treated the patient? That's where the NPI comes in. The NPI acts like the provider's permanent professional identity, and every healthcare provider receives a unique NPI number. This unique number allows insurance companies to identify the correct healthcare provider no matter where they practice or how common their name is. And if a doctor changes hospitals, moves to another city, or even changes insurance contracts, that doctor's identity as a healthcare provider remains the same because the NPI stays the same. That's why insurance companies use the NPI to identify and verify the provider during claim processing. The NPI helps confirm that the provider is recognized in the healthcare system and is enrolled or credentialed with the payer when applicable. You'll find the NPI in many parts of medical billing, including CMS 1500 claim form, Box 24J for the rendering provider's NPI, and Box 33A for the billing provider's NPI. Electronic claims submitted through clearinghouses, insurance payer portals, provider enrollment records, AR follow-up calls with insurance companies. There are two types of NPIs, and this is a very common medical billing interview question. Type 1 NPI is assigned to an individual healthcare provider such as a physician, nurse practitioner, dentist, or physical therapist. Type 2 NPI is assigned to an organization such as a hospital, clinic, laboratory, medical group, or healthcare facility. Remember this simple rule. Type 1 equals individual provider, type 2 equals organization. This is one of the most frequently asked interview questions in medical billing, so make sure you remember it. Now let's talk about the provider tax ID. This is also called the tax identification number (TIN) or employer identification number (EIN). Unlike the NPI, this number is issued by the IRS. It stands for Internal Revenue Service. It is the federal tax agency of the United States, responsible for collecting federal taxes. Its purpose is completely different. Provider Tax ID identifies the healthcare business for tax and financial purposes. Think of a large medical group with 25 doctors. Every doctor has a different NPI because each doctor is a different provider. But all 25 doctors may receive payments under the same tax ID because they work for the same organization. Let's say Dr. John Smith works for ABC Medical Clinic. Dr. John has his own NPI, but ABC Medical Clinic has its own tax ID. When insurance pays the claim, the payment is usually issued to the clinic under its tax ID. But the claim also identifies which provider treated the patient using the provider's NPI. That's why both numbers are important. You will find the provider tax ID in box 25 of the CMS 1500 medical claim form. Now let's compare the NPI and provider tax ID against each other. The NPI identifies the healthcare provider. The tax ID identifies the business or organization. The NPI is issued through NPPES under CMS. The tax ID is issued by the IRS. NPI is mainly used to identify who performed the medical service. Tax ID is mainly used to identify who gets paid and reports taxes. Both numbers appear on claims. Both are used during provider enrollment. Both may be requested during AR calling. But here's the key difference. Multiple doctors in one medical group can have different NPIs while sharing the same tax ID because they all work under the same business. Now, let's see how this works in real life. Imagine a patient visits Sunrise Family Clinic for an office consultation. Dr. Emily Johnson examines the patient. After that, the biller prepares the CMS 1500 claim form for billing. On the claim form, the biller mentions Dr. Emily's Type 1 NPI to identify the rendering provider who treated the patient. The biller also includes the clinic's tax ID, which tells the insurance company which business should receive the payment. The claim is then submitted electronically. Now the insurance company can clearly identify who performed the medical service and which organization should be reimbursed. Without the correct NPI or tax ID, the claim may be rejected, suspended for review, or even denied because the provider cannot be properly identified. If you are in an interview and an interviewer asks you, "What is the difference between NPI and tax ID?" you can answer like this. An NPI or National Provider Identifier is a unique 10-digit number used to identify an individual provider or healthcare organization for medical billing and insurance purposes. A tax ID, also called an EIN or Employer Identification Number. It is issued by the IRS and it identifies the business entity for tax reporting and payment purposes. Multiple doctors in one medical group can have different NPIs while sharing the same tax ID because they all work under the same business. So here's today's memory trick. NPI identifies the provider. Tax ID identifies the business. If this video made NPI and Tax ID crystal clear, hit like, subscribe for more medical billing, AR calling and RCM training, and tell me in the comments which medical billing topic should I explain next. I'll see you in the next video. Imagine